Salvate Ayubiu Spectatores Optimus. Welcome back to the city of Rhodeas. So in the previous episodes I've been working on creating, the Rhodean equivalent of the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus, which is actually the Mausoleum of Aulus Rhodeas in the city, as well as the Roman Forum and around 98% of the Circus Maximus. Well, at least this kind of facsimile. Anyway. In today's, episode, I will be creating the Temple of Concord near the Rhodean Forum area. So as you can see, I'm just doing a little flyby here around the area to give you an impression of where the actual temple is going to be located. So we can see the Circus of Maximus here now, and then a little bit in the distance, in the background, we have the Mausoleum of Aulus Rhodeas and the Rhodean Forum with the Arch of Constantine. I guess we'll just jump right in, really. So these are assets that I've previously created, and I'm using them on a new map because I really like this map, and I think it's something I'm definitely going to stick with in the long run. And I thought that this general area is a perfect spot to build the Temple of Concord. So this is the major part of the asset, and just kind of locating where I want the building to be built. So I think this site lends itself rather well to the temple. So I guess I could tell you a little bit about the actual real Roman equivalent, I guess. Well, I suppose this is the equivalent. The Roman version is far superior, or was at least. But I could tell you a little bit about the actual real Temple of Concord. So, traditionally vowed in 367 BC, to commemorate the reconciliation between the patricians and the plebeians, the Temple of Concord was rebuilt in 121 BC to foster harmony after the murder of Gracchus. It was restored during the reign of Augustus by Tiberius, who probably rededicated the temple in AD 12. The restoration was distinguished by its opulent marble and rich architectural ornamentation. In the cella or cella, depends which pronunciation you're going for, I suppose, which is the central chamber or the sanctuary of a temple, a row of Corinthian columns, the capitals of which had pairs of leaping rams in place of the corner volutes. I think I'm saying that correctly. Was raised on a continuous plinth projecting from the wall, which divided the cella into bays, or sala, each containing a niche. Such was the wealth of fine Greek sculpture, paintings, and other works of art that the temple seems to have been a museum, which I find quite interesting, because you don't really know about museums in ancient times, right? But you actually think, well, a public museum for maybe the Greek civilization or the ancient Egyptians must have existed in ancient Rome. But it's a funny thing to consider, because I don't think I've ever considered that before. It was also used for meetings of the Senate, especially in times of civil disturbance. Backed up against the tabularium at the foot of the Capitoline Hill, the architecture had to accommodate the limitations of the site. The cella of the temple, for instance, was almost twice as wide as it was deep, as was the pronaos, the columnar porch in front of this cella, approached by the stairs. Here only the foundation remains in modern-day Rome, a mound of rubble below the arched loggia of the tabularium. So a bit of information there about the actual Temple of Concord, and apologies for any mispronunciation there. I'm not really fluent in Latin or Italian for that matter, but I do find the history rather insightful. So yeah, getting back into what I'm actually doing in game, I've placed down some very nice planters, some actual plants and foliage around the site, which I think, I think it offsets it quite well and frames the building quite nice, especially with the larger junipers on each side of the building. I think frame it quite well. Now I'm going for these statues in the middle of this plinth, because I want something there, but I'm not really sure if it's what I want. And I'm also kind of at this stage messing around or playing with the idea of different I guess decals for the ground level, because I don't want it all to be one solid grey level, which is something that I'm not exactly happy with at the moment with the Rhodean Forum. I want to kind of break that up, which I will be returning to at a later time. So here I'm going for a very nice contrast between this this brickwork and cobblestones, which I tend to think this looks quite nice. Again, it's framing the footprint of the building quite well, and I think also somewhat complements the foliage too, because that too is also framing the building. So yeah, I think I'm quite happy with that. You guys can tell me if it's horrific or you would do something differently. I'm all ears. Yeah, and also I wanted something at the front of the temple too, but I'll get to that shortly at some stage. Alright, so I guess I'm just deciding what to put around the actual temple, because at the moment it's looking rather bland, and I need some nice planters, some foliage, some benches, some bins, some lights, some decor essentially to liven up the area and give it some, I don't know, just a sense of realism, I suppose. And I'm deciding upon what kind of statue I want in the middle of this little plinth, on either between the staircases going up. So that's one thing that I'm looking at. I'm thinking, well, it looks quite nice, but I'm not 100% sold on it yet. But I do like the symmetry of the planters around the side. And again, I'm adding another statue in the middle of this mini piazza or courtyard, whatever. But as I'm placing this, I'm thinking, well, I think it's a little bit too much, because there's already a statue in front, so let's go with something else. So I opted instead for this very nice fountain, a very nice prop from the exchange. But I can add these two sculptures, kind of like they're in line with the central one, even in the middle of the plinth, and I swapped out another statue instead, which I think looks better, so I'm quite happy with that indeed. And as you can see, I'm adding some tourist information boards, obviously to help the tourists who come to the site and they want to read about the Temple of Concordia, or they want to read about the significance of each of these statues around the Roman Forum, which have yet to be built except for the Temple of Concordia, but I'm working on that. And of course, we need some nice lighting in the form of some lampposts around the Temple of Concordia to provide some light at night, clearly. But I'm going to move soon into putting down some floodlights, so at night time the building looks impressive too, because it needs to look somewhat impressive. And of course now I'm just adding some amenities, like bins, and then shortly some extra benches and things that obviously people need, especially in tourist areas. Yeah, just straightening out the cobblestone areas, and then work a little bit more on the rear side of the building, adding some extra planters down, some plants, some foliage. But yeah, I guess just generally making it look nice and somewhat symmetrical, but some framing essentially of the Temple of Concord, which I think looks quite nice at the moment, and hopefully it continues to be. I guess in hindsight, I may have opted for this whole site area around the Temple of Concord to have been elevated. And I wish in some way I had done that, but looking at some reconstructions of the Roman Forum, you can see that it was very multi-layered anyway, in terms of like multiple heights of different kinds of buildings. So I think, although now I think maybe it looks a little bit too flat to this area, I think that with subsequent kind of episodes adding other assets at varying heights around the Temple of Concord, I think it will look much more impressive, rather than kind of flat as it is. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how it kind of progresses. If I hate it, I will just delete the entire thing, delete the episode, and then restart all over again. But I think at the moment I'm very happy, more or less, with the progress. And I think this is most of everything that I wanted to do with the Temple of Concord. I think it's pretty much finished, except for there was some kind of issue with when I was exporting, a texture issue with one of the, I guess, like little pedestals for one of the statues at the top. So I just figured, well, I'll just copy and paste one of the columns, but I'll resize it so it doesn't look stupid, and use those as pedestals on either side, and I think it looks okay.